Welcome to the deep dive. So today we are unpacking a really a highly unusual source.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly.
Right. It's basically an audio script designed to put you into a deep sleep by simulating the destruction of the universe.
Which is just wild.
It is. And our mission today is to figure out exactly how the creators took this massive, mind-bending, potentially terrifying astrophysical concept, the collision of two universes, and somehow magically transformed it into a peaceful lullaby.
Yeah, because under any normal circumstances, that is the ultimate doomsday scenario.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it is the absolute catastrophic destruction of physics, of reality, and literally everything we've ever known.
Exactly. Like if you put that in a summer blockbuster movie, it's guaranteed to be just this cacophony of loud explosions, right? Apocalyptic lasers, sirens blaring everywhere.
And probably a really massive, booming orchestral soundtrack.
Right, yeah, because it's meant to be terrifying. But what we're looking at is a 30-minute guided audio experience called The Cosmic Overlap, a deep sleep journey. And it takes this exact terrifying concept and just turns it into this peaceful auditory blanket to make you feel safe.
It really does.
The primary hook of the source material is that instead of loud explosions or, sci-fi tropes, this 30-minute script uses these deep humming sounds. It describes the event as two giant soft curtains of light just gently brushing together.
Which is a masterful exercise in reframing the sublime, really.
Yeah. I mean, the goal is basically to make you feel incredibly small but completely safe and ready for deep rest.
Right. Because the collision of two distinct realities is inherently violent to our understanding of the universe. It represents chaos on a scale that we really can't even properly conceptualize.
No, not at all.
So taking that level of existential dread and engineering it into a mechanism for deep sleep, that requires a very precise manipulation of human psychology.
Okay, so to understand how this cosmic lullaby actually works on your brain, we first have to examine the transition, right? How it gets you from the familiar stress of your day to the vast, unparted edge of reality.
Right, the journey outward.
Exactly. The script establishes this journey through the first two phases, which they call the descent and the great boundary. So it moves you away from the familiar world, drifting past stars and galaxies, until you hit what they call the membrane of our existence, which is described as this wall of soft silver light.
And the soundscape they use there is crucial.
Oh, the sound design is incredibly specific. They fade in this low, deep drone, and layered over that are these very soft shimmer sounds that pan very slowly from your left ear to your right ear.
Right, and that audio panning is the first big mechanical lever the script pulls.
Really? I just thought it sounded cool.
Well, it does sound cool, but it goes far beyond just setting a spacey mood. What they are actually doing there is triggering a form of bilateral stimulation.
Okay.
Because when sound pans steadily from the left ear to the right ear, it forces the brain's hemispheres to alternate their activation.
Now, I've heard of that in the context of trauma therapy, right? Like EMDR.
Exactly, yes.
But how does alternating your brain hemisphere activation physically help you fall asleep?
So this cross-hemisphere communication actually mimics the biological processes of the REM phase of sleep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When your eyes move side to side during REM, your brain is actively processing and integrating the emotional load of the day. So by simulating that side-to-side movement through audio, the script is mechanically downregulating your amygdala's fear response. It signals to your nervous system that the environment is, safe enough to begin processing rather than defending.
That makes a lot of sense. That explains why it feels so immediately grounding. Okay. But then they layer in this rhythmic breathing bass into the audio track.
Yes.
And the script notes that this bass should feel like a heartbeat, but massively slowed down.
Right.
And when you mix that with the slow panning shimmer across the stereo field, it's kind of like the sensation of being rocked in a cradle, but scaled up to this massive cosmic level.
It's establishing a physiological baseline.
Okay, how so?
Well, the brain tends to entrain itself to external rhythms. It's a process called neural entrainment. By providing a heartbeat that is significantly slower than a normal human resting heart rate, the listener's autonomic nervous system subconsciously attempts to match that slower rhythm.
So it's physically lowering your heart rate and your breathing.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. The narrator also explicitly tells you that this boundary, this edge of the universe, is thick with potential.
Mhm.
And when I read that, I kind of questioned the logic. Like, we're floating in an infinite void at the edge of reality.
Right.
Emphasizing that the space is thick with potential, that seems like a recipe for an existential crisis. Shouldn't focusing on the infinite void make you feel dizzy or lost rather than grounded?
Well, you're brushing up against the mechanics of the default mode network in the brain here.
Oh, the DMN.
Yeah. When you are lying in bed in a dark, quiet room, your brain is essentially starved for input. You can't simply flip a switch to zero stimulation.
Right. If you try, the brain just rebels.
Exactly. The default mode network kicks in and starts generating its own internal stimulation to fill the void, which, as we all know, usually manifests as racing thoughts or reliving an awkward conversation from 5 years ago.
Ah, yeah. Stressing about tomorrow's emails. The classic 2.00 a.m. brain spiral.
Precisely. So the script is giving the brain a very specific puzzle to solve so it doesn't invent its own problems.
So it's a distraction technique.
It is a highly targeted, low stimulation strategy. The brain needs something to chew on,
Right.
but something that doesn't trigger a stress loop.
Okay, I see.
So by providing gentle sensory information like the faint visual of slow-moving space dust, the slow heartbeat, and the abstract concept of space being thick with potential, it captures your attention just enough.
It shuts down the default mode network.
Yes, and the stakes are so abstract that it doesn't trigger alertness or sudden movements.
Okay, so you're replacing the high-stakes potential of a looming work deadline with the low-stakes abstract potential of the cosmos.
Exactly. It replaces the chaotic noise of Tuesday afternoon with the slow, steady hum of the universe.
I love that. Okay, so once the listener's nervous system is anchored by that slow panning audio and the lowered heart rate, the brain is finally vulnerable enough to introduce the central conflict.
The collision itself.
Right, and this is where I think the creators perform an absolute masterclass in softening complex physics. They have to describe a total cataclysm without triggering an adrenaline spike.
Yeah, and the script leans heavily on a real concept from theoretical physics here called membrane theory, or M theory.
Okay, break that down for us.
So in standard models of physics, we often think of the universe as just everything there is. But M theory proposes that our three-dimensional universe is essentially a brain short for membrane, floating inside a much larger, higher dimensional space.
And if our universe is just one membrane floating in a larger space, well, that implies there could be other membranes, right? Other universes floating right next to ours.
Exactly. And theoretically, those branes could ripple, interact, or even collide. And in astrophysics, a collision between two branes would release an unimaginable amount of energy. It would fundamentally rewrite the laws of physics in the process. It's basically a mathematical apocalypse.
Right, which brings me to the core paradox of this entire experience, the phase they call the gentle touch.
Yes.
The narrator says, another world is approaching. In this moment, the laws of physics mingle. Time stretches. Gravity becomes a gentle hum. Now, normally the idea of gravity breaking down or time distorting is deeply terrifying. Gravity keeps us tethered. Time keeps our reality structured.
Oh, for sure.
How on earth do they introduce the total collapse of physics without the listener's brain just screaming, danger? Are they essentially tricking our primal human fears into submission?
They absolutely are. And it comes down to linguistic translation and the psychology of awe. The source material refers to this as an immersive narrative strategy.
Okay.
They take the cold, incomprehensibly vast mathematics of membrane theory, and they explicitly translate it into human speak.
Right, like when the script says, it is not a crash, but a whisper.
Mhm.
Two universes brushing together like silk.
Exactly. Think about how the human brain processes the word silk versus the word collision.
Totally different reactions.
Right. Silk implies softness, luxury, friction without damage. A whisper implies intimacy and closeness.
Oh, that's really clever.
So by framing a multiverse collision entirely with the vocabulary of soft textiles and gentle human interactions, they bypass the amygdala's threat detection center completely.
It's almost like watching a massive predator at the zoo through incredibly thick glass.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
The threat is visibly real, right? It's massive and dangerous. But because your brain registers the physical barrier in this case, the barrier of soft audio textures and that cozy language, your primal fear is just short-circuited.
Yes, completely insulated.
You get the majesty of the event without any of the danger.
That is the exact mechanism at play. And what replaces that primal fear is the emotion of awe. In psychological terms, awe is a profound response to things that are vast and largely incomprehensible.
Right.
It forces us to update our mental schemas.
But how does feeling awe actually help you sleep? I feel like having my mind blown by the vastness of the cosmos would just keep me awake.
Because awe reliably induces a state called the small self. When you are confronted with the vast scale of two universes softly touching, your ego naturally shrinks.
Oh, I see.
Your individual problems, your anxieties, your daily stressors, they suddenly appear infinitesimally small. The burden of the ego is often what keeps us awake.
Because we're trapped in our own importance.
Exactly. Awe dissolves that importance, bringing a sense of deep relief. The universe is massive, and you are just a tiny, protected observer in the middle of it.
Ego death as a sleep aid. That makes so much sense. And they reinforce this visually in the script, too.
They do.
The script suggests that as the universe is touched, the deep indigo of our universe and the soft silver of the approaching world, they slowly overlap to create this brand new, soft violet color.
And that color theory is operating on a subconscious level.
How so?
Well, indigo is a heavy, grounding color associated with the deep night. Silver represents illumination and ethereal energy.
Okay.
When they blend into violet, the brain recognizes the color of twilight.
Oh, the ultimate transitional color.
Yes. Violet signals the space between day and night, between wakefulness and sleep. It is a visual cue that a transition is safely occurring.
Okay, so the universes have touched. Gravity is humming. Time is stretching out. The colors have blended into the soothing violet twilight, and you're surrounded by these granular, sand-sliding sounds and soft harmonic chords.
Right.
We've reached the narrative peak, but at this point, the script faces a completely new mechanical challenge.
The hardest one, really.
Yeah, because it has to actively stop being an entertaining story so that you can actually fall asleep.
Which is the most difficult pivot point in any guided sleep experience.
Yeah.
The listener has to transition from active engagement with a narrative to passive surrender.
And I notice a really drastic shift in the audio design as the script moves into its final two phases, drifting in the overlap and eternal quiet. You are described as floating weightlessly in the space between the universes, just listening to the two worlds breathing as one. But then, right around the 15-minute mark, the voice just starts fading away.
Yes.
The narration becomes noticeably quieter, a lot slower, and the pauses between words get significantly longer.
It is a deliberate, structural dismantling of the narrative framework.
See, when the narration first started dropping off, I initially thought it might be a mistake or maybe just an artistic choice to focus on the sound design.
A lot of people think that.
But then I realized if they kept talking and detailing the cosmic overlap, my brain would stay awake just waiting to hear how the story ends. It's almost like a cognitive trap. If there is a plot, I have to track it.
And you've just perfectly described the psychological concept of pattern interruption.
Okay.
The brain operates on anticipation. When we listen to speech, especially a narrative, our brains are constantly projecting forward, anticipating the next word, the next sentence, the resolution of the current thought.
So as long as someone is talking, even if they are just whispering about soft violet light, part of my brain is locked into active listening.
Exactly. That anticipation keeps your brain waves hovering in the alpha or even low beta states. You are relaxed, but you are still processing.
Still awake.
Right. To achieve deep sleep, you need to descend into theta and eventually delta brainwave states. By slowly removing the narrator's voice, the script removes the object of your anticipation.
It breaks the pattern.
It forces a pattern interrupt. The script replaces the complex narrative structure with a static cosmic hum and occasional muted bell-like tones.
Right.
This acts as a physical signal to the brain that the story is over. There is nothing left to figure out. It is giving the listener explicit neurobiological permission to let go.
You know, it feels exactly like a parent reading a bedtime story to a child.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Right. The parent's voice naturally slows down as the kid gets sleepy, the pauses get longer, until eventually the voice just trails off completely as they quietly sneak out of the room once the baby is asleep. And the script actually says the narration fades out completely by minute 27. The visual slowly pulses in violet before fading to total black, leaving you with only that deep, low drone.
And that continuous low drone serves a vital function there too. It provides a static auditory anchor.
Why is that important?
If the audio simply faded to complete silence, the sudden contrast would likely jolt the listener awake. A steady, unchanging drone creates a sonic masking effect.
Oh, to cover up background noise.
Yes. It insulates the listener from random bumps or noises in their physical bedroom, keeping them safely suspended in that theta or delta state.
That is so smart. So what does this all mean for us? When you step back and look at the cosmic overlap as a whole, Its brilliance really lies in this incredible balancing act.
Absolutely.
It manages to take the immense, awe-inspiring, and frankly mathematically terrifying scale of the cosmos and perfectly balance it with feelings of deep, intimate safety.
It prepares you for rest, not by shrinking your world down to your bedroom, but by making the infinite universe infinitely softer.
It leverages the vastness of reality to override our localized human anxieties.
Hmm.
I think there's a really practical psychological application here for you listening right now.
There definitely is.
The next time you are lying in bed, struggling to sleep, and your default mode network is just buzzing with a million racing thoughts, maybe you don't try to force them into a box.
Right.
Maybe you use the script's visual tool. Try imagining those racing thoughts as just another universe, completely separate from you, gently drifting past your own reality.
Instead of engaging with the thoughts, you observe them as an enormous passing membrane of light.
Let the anxiety brush past you like silk. Imagine it leaving only a soft violet glow and a gentle low hum in its wake as it drifts away into the dark. You are safe behind the thick glass, watching the vastness move on.
It is a highly effective way to internalize the ego-shrinking power of all we discussed. You stop fighting the current of your own mind and simply let the immense scale of the mental landscape wash over you without threat.
And as we wrap up this deep dive today, I want to leave you with one final lingering thought based on a very specific, almost poetic line from the source script.
Oh, another one.
In the final moments of the audio, right before the narrator's voice fades away forever and you are left in the eternal quiet of the cosmic hum, they say that as the universes eventually move on from one another, they carry the memory of this touch.
It is a profound concept, both narratively and scientifically.
Yeah.
Because in physics, when massive energetic events occur, they leave a signature. Background radiation, gravitational waves,
Yes.
the universe remembers its own history.
Exactly. So if two massive cosmic membranes, two entirely different realities, brushing together leaves a permanent, unseen imprint on the very fabric of existence, what kind of ancient, invisible cosmic memories might be echoing through our own universe right now?
It's a beautiful thing to think about.
It really is. When you close your eyes tonight and hear the quiet hum of the dark, what echoes of forgotten worlds are you actually listening to while you sleep?